Welcome to California, Mr. Bond.
Where we are
Here
on.
we
Where's
go.
my, as a matter, okay, it's since it's being recorded and that was an AI voice, I'm just going to have my AI assistant do
Okay,
the interview.
that'd be great. Okay, that'll be interesting. Yeah. It's like Robert Short can't make it today, but we have his virtual assistant.
I
Yes.
remember we even had Luciana tell us that she was AI at the very beginning
Uh,
of our podcast with her. She goes, "This is not Luciana, this is AI."
well, her camera was off, so we had to take her word for it. Yeah. Anyway, here we are on the podcast. Our very special guest is
Yeah.
Mr. Robert Short. Thank you for being
Hey.
here. Yay! Big.
Hey, hi guys. It's not
Hi.
like I don't see you guys every other month.
I know. I
And
know.
thanks
Well,
very
I
much.
know.
yeah, we were
Yeah,
like,
thanks.
go ahead.
I was just going to say thanks on behalf of all of us Bond fans for having put together the Culver events.
Oh, yeah, it's
You
super
know, I
fun.
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty amazing, and it came about just around the time that all of my close Bond friends were grousing about the fact that there weren't any retro theaters that were showing Bond on a regular basis anymore, and that the
Mm.
screenings were so far the showings of individual films was so far and few between. It was getting really thin out there. And then you guys popped up and created this ongoing marvelous event for years to come, and it was like, oh, it's a godsend.
Well, yeah, we had the
Oh,
same thought. Like we were all like the same thought. Like, why aren't people like playing these films? And then we met Tom, who runs the Culver Theater, who also was having that same thought, and it was just a meeting of minds that worked out. So we're very happy about it.
serendipity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well, that's what happens.
it also helps that Amazon owns it. I mean, owns the space, so they've given the thumbs up, and that's why we have uh, beautiful quality 4K
Right.
prints. It's great. So it's been really fun.
Well,
Yeah.
what's interesting is I didn't really realize that Amazon owned the theater
Yeah,
location as well.
yeah,
And it is an interesting it's an interesting bit of symbiosis that Amazon is pretty much working with you guys to allow you to do this programming. And what's interesting is that I don't see a lot of chat in fandom on the chat boards and stuff talking about the fact that this is your events are is one of the first Amazon supports of the Bond franchise.
yeah.
And it's really important
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
note that it really is it's like one of the first official Amazon Bond tie-ins.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. They've been cool. Yeah, they've been really cool.
Yeah.
They I don't think
If you guys didn't realize it, you guys are a
I
part of
I didn't real
history
I
of the
didn't
new
realize that.
Bonds.
I knew that
Yeah, I mean,
we were
we didn't.
fortunate.
It's one of those
Yeah.
things where we didn't sit down and go, "Hey, because well, it was also what's interesting too is we had set all this stuff up at the Culver Theater while Eon was still in charge,
Right.
and when everything kind of switched over, the ball was already rolling,
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
and they've been very gracious.
Yeah.
Basically, we do it at their pleasure,
Yeah.
and
They were
But
concerned. No, sorry.
they could have turned around and gone the opposite direction. You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
you may have had a kind of a gentleman's handshake with Eon, but no, you can't do this.
I
It's not an approved,
I think it helped.
in-house
Yeah.
project. Pack it up and
I
go
think
away, guys.
I think we're very fortunate because Tom, who runs it, has a
Yeah.
good relationship with Amazon, so is able to answer their questions. And because I think
Yeah.
Amazon at first was like, "Who are these guys?" as well. And so,
Yeah.
and then Tom's a great go-between, and then he answered the questions. And I think some of his contacts are also Bond fans as well. So I think that helps. So yeah, it's going fine. I mean, the
Good.
bottom line is each one almost sells out or has sold out, and it makes them tons of cash too, which is a big plus. So they're not. So they're all they're all with the
Yeah.
thumbs up right now. So
Yeah. And they
Yeah,
also see
yeah.
how positive it
Yeah.
is for people. I mean, there's nothing but smiles and excitement when, people come to these things. It makes us feel really good because that's,
Oh, sure.
and just having just watching it's fun to watch a Bond movie at home, but when you watch it on the big screen in a packed house full of people
Yeah.
that get it and love it, I mean, the energy is just amazing.
Yeah, and everybody looks forward to seeing what you're gonna wear each week,
Well, yeah,
or I
I've
should
only
say
dressed up
every
one.
other month.
I've only dressed up
Yeah.
once, but yeah, Steve goes all out now. So there we go.
I was originally just gonna I was like, oh, for Dr. No, the first one, I'll do a Nehru jacket and that'll be kind of fun. And the response was, Neil even said, oh boy, you got to do this every time now, man.
I'll leave it to you.
So it's been fun, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great choice last go around.
Oh, I had to do that. Yeah, there was nothing else. I
Yeah.
said, well, that's the outfit.
was-
But then
Yeah.
people started asking, does that mean with Octopussy you're gonna do the clown? And I no.
No, we're looking forward to the clown.
Oh,
It's either that, or let's see what else.
the gorilla suit.
Well, or the gor-
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So
Yeah.
Robert,
Yeah.
let's talk. Let's talk
Yeah.
about you. Let's see. Can you?
Oh, let's not. I'm just here
Oh,
along with you
yes.
guys.
Robert has a
yes.
very
What you
accomplished career. So I mean, I don't know. Where do you want? I mean, can you tell people that may not know you what you do and your
I
love of
don't.
Bond
what-
fandom and where it began?
Oh, okay. What do I do? I'll go backwards for a little bit.
Okay.
I'm real these days. I mean, when a job comes up, when a job comes up, I take it. Some of my, I've been consulting on a show that, well, it's weird for me because looking at what I do now when I'm working on a show or consulting on a show like recently Paramount Plus's Evil, I'm working on shows that people have never even heard of.
Okay.
So because there's so
I
much
love
content,
Evil.
because there's so much
Love
content.
Evil.
Hey, because there's
No,
so much
really, yeah.
content. Because there's so much content out there. Somebody will ask me, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Well, I'm consulting on Evil, and they go, "What's that?" Whatever. I don't
They're
know.
missing out. That show was
So
amazing.
so the last couple of things was consulting on Evil, and I was one of the visual effects supervisors on Marvel's Legion a couple of years ago, and so still working. So in any case, as of today, still working here and there. Very interested in VR these days. And though VR keeps taking a hit, doesn't quite ever take off. I do build games, design VR games, play a lot of VR games. Right now, I'm dabbling in a lot of AI generated imagery because AI stuff. I don't dabble a lot in the realistic stuff. But what it's giving to creators to be able to do like animation projects is really interesting. I don't really have a lot of interest in recreating realistic humans to do dramatic scenes or anything like that. But as a tool to create animated projects in classic animated form, that would take a studio of at least 5, 6, 10 people that one person can sit down and do carefully. It's a very interesting tool. Unfortunately, it's a tool that gets abused, and there's a lot of AI slop, and there's the good with the bad. So I'm doing a lot of AI. Recently, the AI has progressed, and ILM's using it as well, where it's very good at taking original creations that you do and fleshing them out and making presentation pieces out of them, and not so it's not just text prompt where you're saying, oh, give me New York City and a meteorite hits it and it blows up. You actually have to design everything. It's very good for creature work.
Mhm.
As far as
imagine.
creating original design stuff that's not not an amalgamation from other people's work. It's just strictly your work into the system, reprocesses it to exactly what you want and gives it back to you. So doing a lot of AI. So jumping backwards, when I was 11, between 11 and 13, 10, when I was 10 to 13, I was your typical monster kid. Couldn't get enough of monsters, whether it's the Wolfman creature from the Black Lagoon, current stuff, whatever. So that was kind of, as a kid. And then something strange happened. In 1964, it's called Goldfinger.
Yeah.
And going to the Chinese theater here in Hollywood and sitting down and watching Goldfinger for the first time, not knowing what it was really, other than I had seen some posters and stuff of, of like strange stuff. I couldn't quite figure out what it was supposed to be. Cars, girls, explosions, fights. I don't know what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything comparable. There
Yeah.
it literally wasn't anything like it, because it was like watching all the elements of a war film, of a World War II war film, but in street clothing. And it didn't quite compute.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
So in any case, watching Goldfinger for the first time, it pretty much changed my life. I went from being a monster kid to a spy kid.
Mm.
And growing, so I hit James Bond right literally at my formative years, being 13, 14.
Yeah.
And everything in my life changed, and I knew what I wanted to. It just captivated my interest. Now, having said that, at that same time, just before Goldfinger was released, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was released.
Mhm.
And of course, Man from U.N.C.L.E. was something that Ian Fleming was involved in the creation of Man from U.N.C.L.E. And Man from U.N.C.L.E., the reason why Man from U.N.C.L.E. was released just before Goldfinger, was that the producer of Man from U.N.C.L.E. was not a real big fan of James Bond and really didn't know much about James Bond, but he was interested in doing a TV show based on Ian Fleming's Thrilling Cities.
Mm.
And so then, as they were developing the Thrilling Cities idea, Dr. No came out, was a success. From Russia with Love, the gears were already turning for U.N.C.L.E. at that time. And then, of course, that's why before Goldfinger was released, Man from U.N.C.L.E. had already aired and was up and running. So Man from U.N.C.L.E. wasn't a response to the success of James Bond. It was just another project, that the network had approved because of Ian Fleming's original involvement. They were going to go without a pilot on Ian Fleming's name, and when Ian Fleming dropped out, the U.N.C.L.E. people had to do a pilot. So what I'm leading up to is, Goldfinger introduced me to the world of spy fiction, super spies, and Man from U.N.C.L.E. being a weekly fix, and at home for the next 4 years, once a week, every week.
Mm.
I was easily, and still am, more of a Man from U.N.C.L.E. fan than I am a James Bond fan.
Wow.
If somebody says, "What's your favorite spy?" It's Napoleon Solo and Elia Kuryakin, not James Bond. That's because I just grew up on those guys, and those were my role models. And Bond was the second character that I was interested in. And it's because number one, what was fascinating to me was that um, there was something unique about the Man from
Man from
Uncle's
Uncle.
format due to the fact that Uncle was an international organization for the good of all mankind.
Hmm.
And Bond simply worked for a government. All the other spies either worked for the US government, which could possibly be corrupt or have problems, British, political problems. Well, if you're working for a government, you're at the whims of something that could very well not be, above board. Especially when we were getting things like the Spy Who Came In from the Cold and the Ipcress File, et cetera, et cetera. There was something about kind of a white knight mentality. Waverly sending out his people to protect the entire world. And that stuck with me over the years. To this day, I still think that Uncle is a more intriguing format than James Bond is, because it deals with a higher level of I don't know exactly what, I can't think of the word at the moment. It's just a higher, just a purer form of intention.
Okay.
Per
Yeah.
se. Also, there was something fascinating for me, and still is, about the fact that the Uncle agents didn't have a license to kill. They were very specific about that. They even included the presence of sleep darts, so they didn't kill people. They just put them to sleep, though they did shoot people and kill them anyway. But there was a premise about use sleep darts when you can, and they had these great communication devices that put them in touch with headquarters. And there was because of the basic format of Uncle, which kind of redefined the spy genre for me. Uncle and Napoleon Solo and the dynamics between Solo and Kuryakin have always been more of a favorite of mine than Bond. And I tell people, ironically enough, as far as books go, as far as spy books go, I prefer the Matt Helm books over Ian Fleming's books. Because they're written in first person, and Donald Hamilton has a particular style that I really enjoy, which, ironically enough, Raymond Benson's recent Felix Leiter novel captures that same kind of Donald Hamilton feel, because it's told in first person. And I really enjoyed Raymond's Felix Leiter novel, and I hope that I hope that he's able to do more episodes, because Felix has always been like a big favorite character of mine. I don't know why. Maybe it's being the American, and the fact that he's an interesting American counterpart to Bond. But let me switch gears back to what your original question was.
Yeah.
And that was my background. My background is, okay, being a spy kid and all that stuff. I was interested in gadgetry and interested in the spy movies and stunts and explosions and all the trappings of the super spy stuff. And I've decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do for a living. I'm going to go make movies like this. It's like somewhere in there, I'll find somewhere along the line, I want to make these things. I grew up on monster movies, and now I'm interested in spy movies, and everything seems to kind of hark back to movies. So that kind of put me on it. So between the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Napoleon Solo, Ilya Kuryakin, and James Bond, I knew what my career was going to be. It was going to be making that stuff. So I ended up training as a stuntman,
No.
Because a friend of mine from junior high school and high school, his mom was connected to the business, and she was uh, she was date she was I miraculous I'll just say miraculously enough, she was dating several guys in the industry, and that opened up avenues for us to kind of integrate and meet these guys. And I met a lot of stuntmen, and so I started to train as a stuntman. And so the stuntmen, it gave me an avenue to get onto the sets and visit on sets sets like, and because of that time period that I was in as a kid, the sets that I went on to kind of, uh, I would train at private locations with the stunt guys, but it gave me the ability to visit things like, certainly visit the Man from Uncle,
Oh, wow.
visit
Hmm.
Combat, visit the sets of Get Smart, visit the sets while they were in production, and watch them film. Wild Wild West,
Oh, wow.
Mission Impossible,
Nice.
Star Trek, I
Ooh,
Spy,
nice.
Land of the Giants, Lost in Space,
Wow.
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Wow.
Classic TV right there.
It's a
So,
classic
Yeah.
TV. So,
yeah.
I've been in the Jupiter 2, I've been in the Seaview, I've been in
Nice.
on the
Oh,
headquarters, I've been on the Enterprise, I've been in Jim Phelps' apartment.
Wow.
oh,
Kelly Robinson, hung out, watched Kelly Robinson and Alexander Scott do do their stuff. So it was a pretty wild time. It was an amazing time. Even at that time, it was. And then when I was over at Fox, I also got to hang out on the original Planet of the Apes set, Dr. Zaius's office,
Oh,
while they were
wow.
shooting
oh,
some of that stuff.
Wow.
So that started so that was like my start. That was kind of like my start in the business. So I started out as a stunt guy, learning how to choreograph fights, stuff like that. And then I got a couple of jobs and went, oh my God, the guys I'm competing with are nuts. I can't do this. While I was standing there thinking about, gee, I could get hurt doing this. The other guy next to me was, I'll crash through the window. Oh God, I'm doomed. I'm doomed. So a job came up at a place called Don Post Studios
Mhm.
that was doing
yeah.
Halloween masks,
Yeah, the mask company.
and they also had a special lab that was doing movie projects, building props, stuff like that. And I got a job working over there, and so I was doing some movie props, some TV commercials, McDonald's commercials, building talking giant hamburgers, and doing other, just doing miscellaneous, just doing weird miscellaneous stuff. We provided some stuff for Night Stalker,
Oh, wow.
and what else? We were doing promotional stuff for Jaws, and that segued, that opened up that, and then I was at that time. So in any case, at that time, jumping ahead, um, I was designing and sculpting masks for the Halloween, for the
Hmm.
Halloween line, and eventually got the two last assignments that kind of came in were the producer John Davison came in because he was working on a film called Piranha
Oh,
and needed piranha fish,
nice.
built, and Don Post Studios didn't want to do the props, and but I said, but because of my introduction to John Davison, um, I was what happened is that since Don Post Studios didn't want to do it, I volunteered and segued from working at Don Post Studios to doing underwater makeup effects work
Nice.
on Piranha, and that kind of opened the door for my professional career in film. And from there, it just kind of never looked back and just kept on going. Ironically enough, one of the very last things that I worked on at Don Post Studios as I was kind of like walking out the door. And the official version it's one of those things that what I'm about to say is the official version is different than what happened. And that
Hmm.
is that because we were kind of on I'm telling this in backwards, kind of memento style. The official story was that the prop guy on the show did this because that was an easy story to put into the press kit. The reality is that the budget was so low that the production came to Don Post Studios one day and said, "We need a such and such." And we all kind of looked at each other and went, "Well, we should be able to cook something up for you. What are we, And so between Bill Malone, who was the lab manager, and three other people at Don Post, in the hair department, paint department, myself, we kind of all got together and came up with a blank human face mask painted white with black hair.
Mm-hmm.
And gave it to the production company, and they put it in a little film called Halloween.
There you go. I thought that's where you were going with that.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I'm wondering if this is.
So it's not William Shatner's face, or
It is William Shatner.
Yeah, it is.
We had a choice.
Okay.
Yeah, we're the team that sat down. And they came in and said, "We just want a plain white human face, as plain as you can give us."
William Shatner.
And so we were like, well, what do we got? We got Frankenstein, we got Wolfman, we got zombies, whatever. But we do have Spock and Kirk from our Star Trek line. And none of us wanted to go redo Spock's ears.
Mm-hmm.
So William Shatner was the William Shatner mask. The Captain Kirk mask was the most generic face mask that we had. So that's what we chose. And
it's iconic.
So
Yeah.
my contribution was like, was the conversations of, what do we do? Do we do Spock? Do we do Kirk? Well, let's do Kirk. And so I found a reject Kirk, and then we sent it to the paint department. Paint department did its thing. And Bill, we were like, well, we can't see out of the mask very well. So Bill cut out the eyes wider and provided them with the mask. And like I say, the official story is that their prop department, went to a magic shop and bought the mask and created it. And that was the easy, that was the that's the official story, but the official, as we all know, sometimes the official stories are a story of convenience.
It's funny because they're still using that mask. I mean,
they're still using that mask,
yeah.
And we thought it was a joke. I mean, we were just like, "Oh my God, this is who's going to be frightened of this thing?" It's like, oh,
everybody.
And the rest is history. Oh, were we wrong? So in any case, that's where that's where it all started, and that led to. I helped in develop my company helped in developing the Predator designs. I designed the heart light for ET and built the heart light. Of course, won an Academy Award for the creature work in Beetlejuice. The shows the stuff that I've worked on vary from mermaids for Splash to giant great white sharks for Ace Ventura Pet Detective, and Snowflake the dolphin that gets kidnapped.
Oh wow.
uh,
The
and
cocoons and cocoon as well, right?
yeah, the cocoons, also the mechanical, all the dolphin, not a good deal of the shots in the film are mechanical
Mhm.
dolphins,
Hmm.
when they're interacting with the people, which is all, so exciting times, doing splash, doing cocoon, doing underwater work, looking back and going, I never thought I'd be a professional diver, but part of my work for Cocoon and Splash is being a professional diver and working underwater.
Wow.
Actually on Cocoon, because we had to have dolphins, actual real dolphins, work with our mechanical dolphins and the cocoons and the divers. I actually got the locals captured 6 or 8 local dolphins, and we had a pen out in the ocean, where I actually got taught how to train wild dolphins. I've
Wow.
got some great photos of me training dolphins underwater.
Oh my God.
So I
Wow.
learned how to, so some of the offshoots of what I've done over the years is I learned how to train wild dolphins.
There you go.
So, I just
That's a
never,
hell of an
it's like,
adventure, man.
it's
That's
been an
great.
interesting, it's been an interesting time. And of course, while I was doing Splash and doing, what you call it, Cocoon, mostly on Splash, because Never Say Never had just finished, and we picked up the crew from Never Say Never Again.
Hmm.
So they had all kinds of stories and stuff about Never Say Never Again. So we certainly shot in areas where Never Say Never Again had been filmed, but they took us out to where the Vulcan bomber was still, rotting away.
Oh, cool.
And I spent time with Kevin McClory while I was out there at his
Hmm.
house, and we
Wow.
sat and chatted about Thunderball. And then there's a scene at the end of Splash where Madison and Tom Hanks's character are swimming
Yeah.
away, and they're swimming through these caves and stuff. And that cave that they swim through is the same cave that the nuclear bombs were
Oh.
hidden in Thunderball.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
wow.
So we went out. So that's kind of like Thunderball Island or whatever it's called. And you actually, to get out there, you have to take a boat ride that takes almost an entire day.
Wow.
Uh,
Oh,
or you fly out. There's a little airstrip that's just big enough for like a Piper Cub to land on with a South Seas. You land on the island that's nearby that rock formation that looks like a little miniature volcano. It's where Bond, it's where the bombs are and where Bond sends off the flare and Felix picks him
Mhm.
up with the helicopter. And um, to get out there, yeah, like I say, there's a little island right next to it where there's a little airstrip, just enough for a Piper Cub to land, which is how we got out there with our mermaid tails and all that stuff. We met up with the boat that had left a day earlier and gotten everything prepared. Um, and there's a little there's like a little south, and you've got this landing strip, and then you've got a little South Seas shack
Oh.
bar, like something out of the South Seas that you see in a World War II movie. But it's just the bar. It looks like the little bar in Dr. No,
Okay.
where Bond meets Coral.
Yeah.
okay.
And that's all there is on the
Yeah.
island.
Wow.
It's like
That's awesome.
it's like
That's all you
that's
A
need.
it.
bar.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
pretty
know,
much.
right? It's a
Yeah,
bar.
I mean, it's whatever. And what I remember most about that is that a couple of days before that, I had sliced my leg open
Mm.
with a conch shell.
Oh,
I had dropped it. I had slid it. We were shooting we were shooting off the beach at Nassau. And oh, right. One more thing before I forget.
Yeah.
The night the 4 days previous to that little incident where I sliced my leg open, um, uh, we all went, my crew and Daryl Hannah went out dancing. And where we went dancing with Daryl was Cafe Martinique.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's cool.
Which was
That's-
another, let's all go let's all go out, let's all go out dancing. Okay, where are we going to go? Well, there's this place called Cafe Martinique down the street. It's like, I'm like, what?
Please.
Huh?
Let's go. Let's do it.
So, okay, I'm up for it. So, so that was another one of those one of those moments of like, I'm dancing with Daryl Hannah at Cafe Martinique.
Surreal.
This is kind of surreal.
Yeah.
This is kind of weird. So, I just thought of that. I hadn't thought about that in years. The and to be there, you have to wear a suit. You can't just show up in your, it's like it is in the movie. It's like you have to have a suit and a tie.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we go from our grungy, our grungy crew outfits to, okay, well, now we gotta look
Clean up.
now we gotta look like James Bond. Oh yeah, the day before, or not the day before, a couple of days later, I had sliced my leg open really badly. And that's a whole story in itself. But it was all stitched, it had stitches, and I was basically told not to get in the water for another several days. And that was the day that that was the day that we were out at the cave. And I was like, there is no way I am not diving this cave.
Yeah, I know, right? You can't
There is
say no.
Not missing out on that.
Yeah, I am just not. So I took a piece of clear plastic and super glued it as a patch over the incision to make it watertight.
Did it work?
It worked.
That worked. Yeah. Okay.
It was real painful to take off.
Oh, I imagine, man.
You're
But
a hardcore Bond fan.
Yeah.
I can't put a Band-Aid on it, and it has to be sealed. No water can get in it. So I just was like, nah, I'm super gluing this. I'm sealing it around this wound, and I'm going diving.
Wow.
So as much as I say, yeah, Man from U.N.C.L.E. is my favorite spy show. It's amazing the things I'll go through to go to a James Bond location or watch a James Bond film be shot.
You were on Diamond set, right?
You got some stories about diamonds, right?
Yeah. So of course, my first chance at getting to go to a James Bond set, was, well, here's the thing. Honor Magic, I grew up during the Bond, through the Connery era. I got introduced to Goldfinger within months. They had re-released, Dr. No, From Russia with Love. I saw Goldfinger. By the time they did the re-release of Dr. No and From Russia with Love, I had read half of the James Bond novels at that point. So I had read Dr. No. And I must admit that when I went and saw Dr. No, I was like, I'm waiting for that I'm waiting for that squid.
Oh yeah.
I was like, wait a minute. What happened to the squid? What happened to the squid?
It's not there.
It's not there. So, but in any case, so in any case, I was a dyed in the wool. Oh man, Sean Connery is James Bond. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than this. Goldfinger, Dr. No, then watching From Russia with Love, and then Thunderball comes out, and it's like, oh man, this is, and then the fact that the spy craze was in full bloom. You couldn't go anywhere without a James Bond or a Man from U.N.C.L.E. reference in some pop culture thing where it was just everywhere. And then we were getting inundated with the Slint and Helm and Ipcris File and the Harry Palmer, Palmer films, this, that. It was just like, this is definitely the golden age. And
Hmm.
so in any case, but there was nobody better than Connery as Bond. That was, that was just, that he was James Bond. And then Secret Service came out, and I was one of those grumpy yeah, I was one of those grumpy kids with my arms folded over my chest going, all right, start the film, show me. All right, let's see this new guy. He's not Connery. And I remember by the end of the pre-title sequence, I was like, oh, I really like this guy.
Yeah.
This is great James. This is a great James Bond. He's, I don't know him from anything else. To me, he's just James Bond. It was just like, it's not an actor playing James Bond. They just went out and got James Bond.
They just found James Bond.
They just found James Bond and put him in this freaking film. So when they opened it up with him lighting the cigarette and close up on his mouth, I was like, huh, this is like the novels I've been reading. Then as the story kept unfolding, I was like, this is the novel I've been reading. Right down to the bell outside of Admiral, Meservy's, mansion. Are you kidding me? What the heck?
It's very
all
close.
that stuff was in great, and the only thing about Secret Service was I understood why they made Blofeld bald, but I was still like, gee, I kind of miss the tall, lanky, weird guy with the contact lenses in his eyes and his silvery hair, as described in the book. Which, ironically enough, I always thought that Charles Gray actually looked more like Blofeld than any of the movie Blofelds. Because that's kind of what he looks like in Secret Service. Silver haired, tall, elegant.
Raymond Benson said at our talk that he doesn't think Blofeld has ever been cast well for the films.
No. It's kind of like Felix Leiter.
Yeah, same thing.
Never quite. Now I was telling Raymond when I met him at the Secret Service Secret Service screening that so what I was trying to say about Diamonds Are Forever is that Secret Service came out and I was just blown away. And I'm still to this day, when you guys had the screening last week, I can sit and watch that film over and over and over again. I just go, this is why I'm a Bond fan. This is it's like if I ever, if I ever grouse about a current film, it's like, oh, No Time to Die. Yeah, I got problems with it. I didn't quite, the first part's better than the second part. As long as I've got Honor, Majesty, Secret Service, and Goldfinger and From Russia with Love, I'll always be a Bond fan. It's like,
it's a good.
You can't.
They're all good movies. It's a great novel too. So I mean,
So Secret Service had come out, and last thing I'm going to say is that is not last thing, but Diamonds Are Forever. I saw the casting news on Diamonds Are Forever in the trades in Variety and Reporter, where they were listing different actors being cast. And it didn't say who they were being cast as. It just said, so-and-so's been cast in Diamonds Are Forever. And when I read that, oh, blah, 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 Jimmy Dean has been cast in Diamonds Are Forever, I went, finally, they got Felix Leiter right.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like, no, Norman Burton's playing.
It's like the worst Felix.
What? Are you kidding me? You got Felix Leiter right, literally there, the tall, flaxen head Texan. That's like you couldn't have made him up if you wanted to make a more perfect Felix Leiter than Jimmy Dean.
Willard White.
Casting as Willard White. Are you out of your minds?
Tell him he's fired.
Tell him he's fired. Yeah. Oh, what's funny is that "tell him you're fired" line. As you guys probably know, there's no way that Saxby knows that there's no way for him to get that order to go kill Willard White. It's a spot in the film that makes no sense.
There's a lot in that film that makes no sense.
That one, you can't.
No, I agree. Yeah.
There's literally Blofeld doesn't have the information.
Yeah.
It's just like
Huh.
nobody can send him out on that mission to
Sure.
do that.
I know.
And you're just going, that's one of those things you just go, wait, this
Just
makes
pretend it happened.
It's a really
This makes
lucky
no
guess on
sense.
Saxby's part.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's clairvoyant. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like it's in this. That's one of those. Don't ask. It's just
Yeah.
in the script.
Yeah.
But what I'm
We got to
getting
get
at,
past this point. Just put
yeah,
it in
let's
there.
just do it quick. So what I'm getting at is that Secret Service had come out, and I thought that nobody could do it. Yeah, after Connery left, nobody could do a James Bond film. But this production company did and hit it out of the park. So when they said that Sean Connery was coming back, I was like, okay, I'm there. But you guys are obviously going to do an On Her Majesty's Secret Service style movie.
Yeah.
What else could one think?
I wish.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the films. Those are the films you're making, and you've got Sean Connery. I
Yeah.
was like, there is no way I'm missing out on, because it's going to be in my backyard.
Mhm.
I'm in LA. It's shooting in Vegas. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
A film like Secret Service? No way am I not going to go, out of my way to do everything and anything I can to go see that, to watch those guys make that film.
Yeah.
So I was determined, because in my mind it was the next On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So I was going to do hell or high water. I was going to do whatever I had to get to the Bond set. So that was my motivation, was that, oh my God, this is the company that just gave me On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I'm all in.
Yeah.
And as we know, it's like, what the hell happened?
I mean,
and the thing is that one of the first things that I did was when I found, when I went to the production office in Vegas, and I knew enough, having been around sets at that time, though I wasn't in the business. I had trained in the I had been doing the stunt, I'd been doing the stunt work type stuff.
Yeah.
So I was been on set, so I knew the ins and outs of, what you do on set and how to behave, and the basic, the basic facade as to how to kind of, be part of be part of a production unit.
Yeah.
So I knew I could, so I knew that they'd have a production office. So I found, once I found the production office in the hotel, first thing I did was go into the production office and pick up the daily reports and the call sheets and and the basic day out of days schedule. So I knew what their whole schedule was going to be and where they were going to be shooting, and
Nice.
and a synopsis.
Pretty
And
cool.
I picked up like a 10-page synopsis of the
Wow.
story,
Ooh.
and immediately read it and went, "Oh, this is pretty cool." On paper, it was still On Her Majesty's Secret Service
Yeah.
type stuff, because Tiffany was the hard-edged, really character-driven character. There was, on paper, there's none of the, here, grab a machine gun and have it knock you off of the, knock you off
Yeah.
of the oil rig.
Yeah.
And that stuff wasn't on paper. So you
We
just
thought
go
that
into
would
the
have killed
magic.
her too. That's a long
Yeah,
drop.
it's a long drop. It would have been very painful.
Yeah.
So the main thing that I found that was fascinating for me, having been on the set of Diamonds Are Forever, is that the scenes that I saw being filmed and the dailies that I watched it looked like it was going to be on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
The scene where he ends up meeting Tiffany and they find Plenty O'Toole's floating in the pool was so dramatic and so filled with emotion that it was like, this is really this is really hitting it home. They didn't use those takes.
Yeah, it makes no sense really.
They didn't
wow.
use those. They didn't use those takes.
Yeah.
And in the script, of course, the reason why Plenty is there in the pool is that Plenty finds Plenty steals Tiffany's purse on her way out. I'm trying to remember the exact scene, but there's a thing where Plenty, I think, comes back into the room. Again, I haven't looked at the script in so long, but Plenty comes back and either steals the purse or steals Tiffany's wallet and finds her address. And she's still angry at Tiffany, she's still jealous of Tiffany, so she's going to Tiffany's house to like go face to face with her or something, and then stumbles into Winton Kid, who are there to do something else, and it's just a circumstantial kind of oops, they ran into each other accidentally kind of thing, but they had to kill her anyway because she was supposed to die in the first time when when the other gangsters threw out the window or whatever. But there was more of a connection. There was an actual reason why she was there. But all that stuff, all those plot holes were, except for the Burt Saxby thing, which was always a weird plot hole.
Yeah, it's a big one.
The rest of it, and we all, and you guys obviously know that the ending was completely different in the script, which is why the Bathos sub was there, so it could go to the salt mine and they could have this huge battle. And that was all scripted out, and it was really, the storyboards and stuff in the office looked really cool. And there was supposed to be, there was supposed to be this huge battle. I mean, a real, a standard, real battle with a frogman putting explosives on the legs of the oil rig, and the guys were supposed to land on the oil rig, and they were supposed to have these fist fights and explosions, and Bond in the middle of it, fighting all these guys, and Blofeld getting away in the Bathos sub, blah blah blah. And Guy Hamilton got a cold and caught the flu, and they just scrapped it all because he couldn't shoot it.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, it doesn't make sense. The ending's kind of a mess. It's kind of
I would think, let's just wait a week, guys.
No, they're just moving. They're just moving on. We got the basics. Let's move on.
And whatever really happens to Blofeld at the end, he's just in the sub, and that's it. But
the whole thing's a complete mess because they couldn't film the end.
That's crazy. They just couldn't wait. Like,
Steve
said, they couldn't wait.
They're just on schedule, and they just had to move. They just moved on.
I mean, I guess if you don't care, if you're the kind of viewer, I guess some people don't care. I mean, if that film didn't have Sean Connery back, that's one of the few things that saves it, really. So I mean, and I don't know.
Can you imagine if they had done Diamonds Are Forever with an unknown? Say they replaced George Lazenby and put another actor in there, then gave you that film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You'd be like, whoa, what the hell is this? But
even Sean Connery had mentioned that, people disparage Roger Moore's movies as being silly, but have you guys seen Diamonds Are Forever? The
one. So, the stuff that I saw being filmed, it had that Secret Service kind. It felt like a real James Bond film when it was being shot. Even though I must admit that on set, watching the Bambi and Thumper sequence being shot, the fact that Bond just grabs the girls and shoves them under the water
it's so weird
at the end even shooting that, being there for those shots, Guy Hamilton was like, "Oh, it'd just be funny if you just hold him under the water." Just hold him under the water.
Just
Bond
lift
can
him
do
up, put him
that.
down, lift him up, put him
And
down.
it was kind of like, I think that's probably the thing that should have like indicated to me that something was wrong, but um uh, before I forget, one of the other things I was going to say, and why I appreciate you guys so much, I appreciate you guys
Oh,
so
thank you.
much,
Thank you, Robert.
is that I never, and I know this is odd, it's just because of the way it's just the way I grew up.
All right.
And that is, I never watch the Bond films on TV, on a monitor.
I've heard people say that.
I have the complete collection on DVD.
Yes, yep.
I do, and I certainly have a Prime Video and now a net, and I certainly have a Netflix, subscription, but I never watch a Bond film on streaming or TV or anything like that because it just never, I've tried it a couple of times and it just doesn't
It's not the same.
gel.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. So the only time I ever watch a Bond film is in a theater.
Okay.
And that's why it's like, I haven't seen some of these films that you guys have been showing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in 20 years.
Wow.
Steve has Steve has Bond films on all the time, right, Steve? You have
I'm
in the
the
background.
guy who
He has them
like
on in the
the
background.
I got one on background right now. It's my comfort food, and
Yeah. So I just don't, I have to be in a theater with a group of people and experience the whole thing.
Well, when we did A View to a Kill, which is not my favorite Bond film, it played really well in front of that crowd. I mean, it was our second most attended night, and people, I mean, it really played well that night. So
even Die Another Day,
Yeah.
people have pointed out, hey, I really don't like this movie, but I had such a great time in the theater and what
Yeah.
That's what makes Bond special,
Mhm.
is the theater experience. And I find in these retro screenings, yours and previous screenings, is that my audiences who are Bond films, who watch them on their TV, have a whole different experience in a theater with a group of people, and people who have never seen the films before have a better appreciation of that film or James Bond in general, being in a theater and getting the energy, the electrical energy of a crowd as everybody reacts to, like, there was about 20% of the audience that had never seen Secret Service before when they raised their hands.
Yeah, that's why we didn't blow it. Yeah,
and you can hear their reaction in theaters when, like, Bond gets hit from behind when he's looking for Tracy in the hotel room. That surprise jump, and everyone's like, and you can hear that visceral, that you say to yourself, I'm an old Bond fan. This stuff works for me. But it's so satisfying to hear people who've never seen the films before react in surprise, get the jokes, gasp when the guy gets, eaten up in the snow plow.
I forgot about that. That is so gnarly, that scene. So gnarly, that scene.
And during that ski sequence, watching people, our friend who was sitting next to me too, she turned to me and was like, what? Like, she couldn't believe the stunts and the athleticism that was being exhibited on those slopes. Like, it's still incredible to watch.
And speaking of the athleticism of that, I'm sorry, but I don't think I would buy Sean Connery doing that stuff. I mean, I know it would be a stunt double. It would be Bob Simmons. But for some reason, that kind of light, cat-like George Lazenby energy in those fight scenes and the ski scenes just seems fit
Mhm.
for George Lazenby,
Yeah.
but I can't see the bulk of Sean Connery like going down a mountain on one ski
Mhm.
and feeling like,
Yeah.
yeah, that works.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Especially how he was in, because you look at the movies that bookend Majesties,
Uh-huh.
the way, especially his demeanor in You Only Live
Just
Twice,
bored. Just
and
bored throughout the whole
yeah, and
movie.
then how he is in Diamonds. It's like I can't see either of those guys being that Bond that's in
No,
Majesties.
exactly. And people, whenever somebody says, "Oh, but Majesty's would have been the best Bond of all if Connery had been in it," I go, if Connery had been in it, it wouldn't have been On Her Majesty's Secret
Yeah.
Service.
They
Yeah.
might have even cut out the whole wedding thing because, Connery's Bond was so,
Yeah,
flippant and,
yeah,
had a lot of the ladies. They might have said, this isn't going to work with him. Let's do the story, but let's cut out, the
yeah,
wedding. But they might have gone that route even.
yeah. I agree. I think that to me, Secret Service exists because Connery was not in it. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
it's just the reason it exists.
Yeah. It's a special one. It was which was really great is that we briefly spoke with George on the phone afterwards. So that was really cool. Were you there for that, Robert? Or
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
noticed
you're.
I heard somebody had said that they had gotten
Yeah, a
George on the phone,
friend
but
of
I
his
wasn't
came
there.
over to us and was like, "Do you want to talk to him?" We were like, "Sure."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he was in Australia, so that was really cool. So
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so Secret Service has always been one of my top favorite Bond films. It just is
Me too.
because it's so it's just so true to the character.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
it
even
was like
technically speaking, just the fact that,
oh,
because I was talking with another friend of mine just the other day, and he was saying, "Oh, editors make the best directors. They know exactly what they want." And and I
yeah,
said, "Man, yeah, you watch the first five Bond movies, and they're great, but they ain't flawless. And then you get, and Peter Hunt edited all those, and then you get to the one he directed, and it is just from top to bottom, like amazing, like technically speaking, just everything."
it's
yeah.
crazy. He never came back. That was it for him with
Yeah.
Bond after that.
Yeah, yeah. And I spent a lot of time. I got to know Peter very well
Oh,
because of being a big fan of Secret Service. And I've had like two or three private screenings with Peter
oh
of the
wow.
film,
Oh wow.
with like just a group of like 10 of us where we just sat down and watched the film in a private screening room with Peter and then
Wow.
asked him specific stuff about why he did certain
Oh,
things.
wow.
And I bet, I've friends and I went up to Peter's apartment at the Standard on Sunset Boulevard,
Wow.
just to hang out and say hi
That's
and
cool.
et cetera,
Oh,
et
that's
cetera.
so
So I
awesome.
got to know Peter fairly well. Um, and at one of the screenings, one of the things that Peter mentioned, and this is for the Bond detectives
Ooh,
someday
ooh,
to
there you go.
find, and that is Peter said that he had John Barry record an original version, not re-record a new version, not a new version, a version of the James Bond theme
Mm, okay.
for that attack sequences at Piz Gloria.
Okay.
Whoa.
Wow.
So
Wow.
there was a specific James Bond theme that they recorded for the attack sequence.
Wow.
And he said that they put it in the film, and Peter said it didn't have the same energy as the original Doctor No
Mm,
James
Yeah.
Bond theme. There was something about the broken guitar, the
yeah.
flick, whatever it was missing from the new version that John Barry did and that they had in the film.
Huh.
And so Peter scrapped that James Bond theme and put in
The original.
the Doctor No version.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
works. I wonder where that
And
Yeah.
is.
it has that was the visceral, that's the kind of director that Peter was. It's like
Yeah.
you've given me the piece of music, but it just viscerally it's not working for me. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there it is, but it just doesn't it just doesn't feel like that Bond, the Bond theme. So he
Yeah.
stuck the original Bond theme back in the film. So somewhere out there is a version of the James Bond
Wow.
theme that John Barry did for Honor Majesty Secret Service that, as far as I know, nobody's ever heard.
That's weird. It's weird it didn't end up on the new remastered
I
soundtrack.
was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah,
because we were talking to Neil Bulk, who
produced it.
produced the re-release, and
Yep.
I don't
We have
think
to ask him about
he
that.
mentioned anything about that. Have to
We have
do
to ask
some.
about him.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
and I have never heard anybody
Yeah.
else talk about it, not in the re-releases of Honor Majesty, on the soundtracks
Mhm.
or anything else. But all I can tell you is that's a
Well,
story that Peter Hunt told me at one
it's out there
point.
now. It's out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I
The
was
cat
like,
is out
And
of the bag.
Peter Hunt
I've
would
never heard
know.
of this.
He's the one who made the movie.
He's the one who made the movie, and he said
Yeah.
he had a track recorded and had to replace it with the original.
Wow.
So somewhere there's a little reel-to-reel cassette somewhere
In the archives somewhere. Yeah.
in the
Yeah. Somebody
archives.
probably doesn't even know what they have. Like, what
Yeah,
is
it's
this?
just what is it? That's another James Bond theme.
Yeah.
There's got to be sheet. I don't know if there may not even be any sheet music. Specific. They just
Oh,
had the old
yeah.
sheet music and said, play it again.
Yeah.
Just do a new version of this arrangement or whatever.
Maybe it's
But
out there.
but in any case, so my guess is that whatever sheet music they had was the original sheet music because they were trying to recreate that
Hmm.
music exactly, but a
Yeah.
new, new updated, recording of it. So who knows? That's, so all I'm saying is
That's a nice little
I don't
tidbit.
have any, I don't have any,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to back up my story other than that's what
What
Peter
the director
told
said.
me.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's what the director said. And I was like, really? Is that around somewhere? And he goes, I don't know.
It's got to
I
be.
don't
It's
know
got
what
to be
happened to it.
somewhere.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhere.
And now that John Barry's no longer with us,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
might be somebody, who worked on the orchestrations
Uh-huh.
of Secret Service who played in the band or whatever,
Yeah.
we don't even have Vic Flick. We don't have
Mhm.
Vic Flick with us anymore either.
Yeah, he
No.
passed away this last
Yeah.
year, I
Last
think.
year,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, that's for the Bond detectives.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
like to,
It's out there,
personally,
guys.
if it's out
Yeah.
there, I'd like to hear it.
We
I'd like
Yeah.
somebody to find it.
Yeah.
But that was Peter's story.
Okay.
And I'm just
I'll
passing
stand by
I'm just
it.
passing on the
Yeah.
story.
Well, now it's documented, so that'll be on this podcast forever now. So, we're winding down, but I wanted to ask you. So Bond is owned by Amazon. Well, it's not owned by Amazon, but they're in charge. What do you want from the next Bond film? I mean, we always ask our guests that. Like, what do you want? What do you want to see from Bond?
What I would like to see from Bond is a Spy Who Loved Me
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
adventure that's big,
Fun.
bold, larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
Get away from the Craig era of, down and dirty.
Yeah.
I appreciate, I like Casino Royale. I don't like, and Skyfall is okay.
Mhm.
It's like people love, a lot of people who love Skyfall.
Yeah, a lot of people
I have
do.
a problem with, I have some basic problems with Skyfall that still to this day irk me.
Yeah.
It's just a personal thing where
I know people that can't stand
they've
it.
got
Yeah.
Bond and you've got Bond and the villain who are physical equals to each other,
Mhm.
but yet you don't have them have a mano fight at the end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Bond actually stabs the villain in the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just go,
I thought that. I
this
just
is our
rewatched
hero.
it. Yeah.
This is our hero. He stabs the villain in the back and he fails at his assignment. It's like, where's it?
Mm.
What happened to, this would be like, this would be like if, Spy Who Loved Me ended with Jaws killing Anya,
Yeah.
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 and then, continuing the story. Just
It'd be awkward. Yeah.
it doesn't work. So in any case, I'm not going to say we need I'm not going to say we need sure, I'd love to see another Honor Majesty's Secret Service style show. So basically what I'd like is something that's larger than life, something that has a bigger, more amazing climax
Mm-hmm.
than the pre-credit sequence.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What bothers me more than anything in recent Bond films is the best action and the most amazing and the most tension is at the beginning of the film, and then they peter out toward the end, and the climax is not as big as the beginning.
Yeah.
As big as the parachute jump is, as amazing as the parachute jump is at the beginning of Spy Who Loved Me, the battle on the tanker is a bigger, more amazing climax.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then even after that, he goes to Atlantis and that's sinking, and he fights it with Jaws.
And fights with Jaws with a personal one-on-one, battle with Jaws. And you even have, even though Roger takes it in a more comedic route, you still have Anya threatening to kill Bond and threatens to kill him at the end of the story.
Yeah.
So just right off the top of my head, if somebody said, "What style would you like?" I've never been like a really big Roger Moore fan. Him as James Bond, because to me he's always been the Saint. It's always been the Saint is playing James Bond. Remington Steele is playing James Bond. So I do have, so those are prejudices that come along with my age group of having seen these actors and other things. But as far as a style of structure of a Bond film, that's what I would personally like to see. But at the same time, I would enjoy something that was like completely different, that just was like, I didn't see this coming at all. So I'm open. So I'm not like, oh, it's got to be like the old James Bond where he did this and explosions at the end, blah, blah, blah. I would be just as eager to see something like, oh, take Spy Who Loved Me, the novel, or Moonraker, and just do that with today's technology, where Bond is in the forests of Canada the entire film, up against some kind of, some plot, whatever. So though to me Bond is the big is the big spectacular thing, and then there's it's hard. The more I think about it, the more it's hard to say, because at the same time, I'd love to see a From Russia with Love style film. But so I don't like to second guess where filmmakers are going to take it. I just don't, what I would say is what I don't want to see is the elements from the Craig era.
Yeah. I mean,
carried over. I would like to see a fresh start.
Yeah.
And if you have to go back to, I know they always say, oh, go back to the novels, but what part of the novels do what part of the novels do you do? I think that I think that the new filmmakers, as far as the producers and director, they've got a tough.
It's a hard job.
They've got a tough challenge ahead.
Yeah.
With a lot of tough decisions to make, and I really hope I hope the best for them as far as making as far as the decisions they're going to have to make. So as a
In this
Bond
day and age,
fan,
they got to do that with a peanut gallery that's literally the world
that
population, just
yeah,
about all throwing
It's
a
a
million
reintroduction.
billion different opinions and
yeah, exactly. Which is why they have to just do it their own way.
yeah.
And so I myself, I'm open to whatever I'm open to whatever way they go, and I'm sure because whatever way they go, some of it will hit right for me and
Hmm.
some of it won't.
Yeah, me
You
Yeah.
too.
know, it's never going to be perfect because it's never going to be perfect for older Bond fans because we're so ingrained to the bits and pieces that we like out of all the films creates our overall image of what a Bond film should be.
Sorry, my dog
And
is
so,
barking. So
yeah.
sorry.
And so it's impossible, though I say Spy Who Loved Me, it's like it would be cool to have another big, amazing, larger than life,
Yeah.
Bond adventure. But at the same time, um, something on a smaller scale that is just, you know, um, uh, part
Mhm.
espionage, part action. Just give me, a, uh, just give me just give me a James Bond that I
Just,
can,
just James Bond.
Yeah.
recognize and enjoy the ride with. Because
Yeah.
even the villains, I've listened to people talk about I've listened to fans, talk about, oh, well, I want the villain to be the equal of Bond and kind of look like
Mm.
Bond and have the same attributes as Bond. And I'm like, that's the Bond. Those are the Bond villains that have never worked for me
Yeah.
personally. I like, the classic Bond, there's been a lot of, dissertations about what makes Bond work for a 13-year-old and
Mhm.
why a 13 or 14-year-old embraces Bond so much when they get introduced to Bond.
Yeah.
And one of those things is Bond's up against an older adversary
Hmm.
who is the father figure,
Yeah.
and it's that ingrown thing of, a kid being, a kid, expanding out and expressing their own feeling and rebelling a bit against their father.
Yeah.
And that's
Hmm.
what Connery's Bond is to Goldfinger and to Blofeld and
Yeah.
there's a bit of rebellion between the younger set and the older set
Hmm.
and the establishment and stuff.
Hmm.
So even their choice of where they're going to go villain wise is a tough
Yeah.
is a tough choice because as you
Yeah.
say, the Bond sphere of fans, you go onto a chat room and it's all over the place. And
Hmm.
myself, I read like people's opinion as to where the Bond film should be going and what they want. And I read the stuff and I go, well, that's not I read what the fans want. And I go,
Yeah.
that's not Bond to me.
He's like,
What
I
are you
don't want that.
talking about? Like, what? Are you kidding me? Because
Yeah.
you got even Bond himself, even the Bond character himself now right now, some people want him to be the gym, the gym rat where he's like physically, super fit, like
Yeah.
Daniel Craig's. And then you got, Connery was, Mr. Universe or whatever at one time and a bodybuilder, but he never, the Daniel, the Sean Connerys and the Timothy Daltons felt, and Roger Moore, much more cerebral
Hmm.
characters than just their physical stuff. And you got the Craig style, which is more of a physical guy who's not as ingenious as the previous
Hmm.
Bonds. So I know that I'm all over the place with my answer,
No, it's a good
but
answer.
No, no,
You
no.
just want you
I
just
just
want
don't
James
know. I
Bond.
just don't know where they're gonna. I wouldn't wish what these guys have got to do with the next Bond film to set up the franchise.
Yeah.
On my worst enemy, they are
Yeah.
going to have they are they're
The work cut out
they
for
are
'em.
going to have to just forge ahead with what they feel is the best way to go and the best story that they're capable of telling, and ignore all the other input because the you know
It's just noise,
it's just
really.
yeah, Steve. I mean, it's really just noise. I mean, it's you know, hey, Bob Short says you should do this, or you should do that, or Steve says do this, and Neil says well, I really prefer the such and such, and it's like, how do you put it's like
Yeah.
as you say, Steve, it's all noise, and these guys have just got to go with their gut
Yeah.
and do the best they can. I was so disenchanted with where the Craig era went
Mm.
by the time it ended with the Brofeld,
Yeah. Yeah.
Spectre being, I don't know what the hell Spectre turned into, and Blofeld being,
Yeah.
the only thing that Blofeld wanted to do was just bother his brother. So he created a worldwide organization to go stick it to his brother.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know what I'm watching
Spectre
anymore.
fizzled out. It's sort of like it was a big hype, and then in No Time to Die, Spectre was just gone, and I was like,
Yeah.
Spectre. I was like, I was when I talked to Daniel Craig, and he said that without a doubt, his Bond films were separate
mhm,
from the other Bond films, and that it was
Yeah.
his own story and own arc, their interpretation of it, like an alternative
mhm.
universe of Bond.
Mm.
It had nothing to do with the previous
Yeah.
Bonds. It's like you had the beginning of him getting his 00 and his Bond getting killed, and it was a box set that was,
Yeah.
Mhm.
hearing from Daniel Craig himself saying, my adventures were different than everybody else's adventures of Bond. That was just standalone.
Mhm.
That's why we killed him off. And that is that it's its own little pocket universe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got no argument. I got no argument.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
is. It certainly is.
Just give me a clean slate so I never have to hear about
Think
that
of,
version of Spectre and Blofeld and Felix being dead and
Yeah.
once Felix died, I turned to my wife and I was like, "This film is not going to go well."
Yeah.
That's what I was like, I don't know. I just had a bad feeling about it. So, and yeah,
so in any case, those are my
it's
feelings.
all good
I'm
stuff.
just glad that
Yeah.
where we've gone on from that. That's its own
Yeah.
little pocket thing, and that whatever they do now will reinvent, will be a hard reinvent of the series, which is no big deal because
Mhm.
they've done that several times.
Yeah.
Secret Service was a hard reboot
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the whole thing, and Live and Let Die was another reboot. Diamonds Are Forever kind of stands alone by itself.
Yeah.
So it's not like they haven't just gone, well, we're just
Yeah.
starting it again.
Yeah.
They are. That's what they'll do. I mean, some people really were like, "Oh, James Bond is dead," and I was like, "He's not dead. They're just going to start all
Not
over again." You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
sorry if I
Yeah.
blew that for
Yeah.
listeners, but
Spoilers.
I think if you're listening to us, you
What?
probably know the ending. So yeah.
What?
Oh, sorry, Bob. Well, Bob, I
You
could.
mean they're not going to make any? They're not going to make any
No,
more
that's it.
Bond
It's all
films?
over. Yeah, that's it.
It's,
Enter the
it's all
movie.
going to be Matt Helm now.
Yeah.
Matt.
Um. Well, Bob,
Yeah.
this has been great. I could talk to you for hours about all of this. We really
Yeah.
appreciate you taking time. We should have you back at some point. We can delve more into your film
Yeah,
adventures
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So I wanna, but thank you. This has been
More
fantastic. I hope you.
more nonsense.
I will.
Well, it was fun, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for
Yeah.
Yeah.
inviting
We
me
always love
over for
talking and
the.
hanging out with you, man. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
We were like, who's going to be our next guest? And I was like, let's ask Bob,
Yeah.
so that worked out. So thank you though. And
All
I
right.
assume we'll see you at the next Bond night. So it's going to be fun.
Undoubtedly.
Okay. All
I'm
right,
looking
man.
forward to it,
So
man.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, again, thanks for everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you for being
Oh,
there.
thank you.
Thanks, man.
All
See you
right.
later. Bye-bye.